Here in Ireland, we've been blessed with a mild, moist climate, or so we're told. That's all very well, so long as the moisture stays on the outside. Unfortunately, many of us have to cope with a problem like this, a leaky roof. And if you've got a flat roof, finding the source of the leak isn't easy, because while the moisture is seeping through here, the hole causing the leak could be anywhere along the building. Water divining has to be the answer. For dowsing, you need a forked hazel twig like this one. You hold it out from your body, concentrate, and wait for something to happen. But if you haven't got the gift, you could try one of these. It looks a bit like a lawnmower, but in fact it's an electronic moisture detector. Now if I wheel it across this roofing felt we have here, nothing very much happens. But now I'm going to invent a leak by pouring some water underneath. And there we are, that should do it. The deck scanner works by taking continuous readings as it moves along. When it goes over a damp patch, a reading registers on a meter, but the machine also tells me by starting to bleep. Now let's see if we can find this leak. And there we are. With a machine like this, you can survey a large roof, a warehouse for example, in a very short time. But there are new, small versions available that have wider applications. With me is Alan Rynhart of Tramex, who manufacture the deck scanner. Alan, how do these machines work?
Well, perhaps I could use this traditional instrument here to demonstrate more simply how it works. This is a resistance meter, and what we're doing is transmitting signals down through the probes. Now, when you press the probes into a material to be tested, you get the resistance between you measure the resistance between your probes, and that gives you your moisture content. However, the problem here is that this is destructive, and what we're looking for is non-destructive testing.
Right. So you have a smaller version available, a pocket version, that has, we've seen them detect leaks in roofs, but this pocket version can do other things as well.
Yes, indeed. This has the ability, for instance, to check moisture, rising damp in a house. It'll check moisture in timber. Let's say rising damp, for instance, we have here some ceramic tiles, and moisture can often rise up behind the ceramic tiles. So by running the instrument across, we find, and this technology, of course, would have an application where the probe type meter would not have an application.
Right. Yeah, and it can also be used on wood.
It can be used on wood, yeah. Indeed.
Well, I've got a wooden timber frame here, almost ready for painting. If I just put a little bit of moisture on it, that might be the same as if there was dry rot, something like that, wet frame. And if I run this pocket one down along it, indicates. So you wouldn't paint this frame.
So you wouldn't paint that frame, exactly.
Right. Now, are leaky roofs big business? I mean, who would be using these machines?
Well, the people, for instance, that own aircraft hangars, a typical example, where the span is getting greater and greater, like bigger buildings are getting bigger, and of course being bigger, they have to become lighter, and you get colossal expansion and contraction on the roof surface. And these tend, for instance, here's a piece of roofing felt. There are many types of roofing felt on the market, and this would be laid maybe in 3 or 4 plies, but you can see that it is not a very strong material. It has a certain fragility.
Can I try and rip this?
You could try and rip that.
Okay, so it breaks quite easily.
So with a lot of expansion and contraction, you can get cracking around the edges of a roof, or sometimes even the centre. And this is where the moisture gets in and then percolates onto the surface.
Well, you've obviously filled a gap in the market. Where did the idea for these detectors come from?
Well, originally I saw an instrument used for non-destructive testing of roofing in the United States. And it was based on a nuclear instrument. And this was not awfully successful because you had to have a license from the Atomic Energy Commission and people like that. And I came back to Ireland and got terrific assistance from the Applied Research and Consultancy group in Trinity.
Could you just explain to us, using the small handheld one, how it actually detects the moisture?
Well, what we're doing here is as you saw the pins going in, what we're actually doing now is we're transmitting invisible signals down through the roof surface.
We have a graphic of that, I believe, that we can show what's happening.
Okay, well, you see that the signals are going down. When it's dry underneath, each signal is insulated from the other signal. But when there's moisture, of course, you then measure the resistance between the two signals. And the more moisture, the greater the conductivity, therefore the higher the reading you get.
Right, so the moisture completes the circuit, and you get the bleeps that we heard.
The moisture completes the circuit, exactly.
Yeah. So are you planning even smaller versions of the leak detector, or are you going to go into other types of machines?
No, we're already developing new applications for the same type of instrument using the same technology. We have one under development at the IRS at the moment for checking moisture in concrete, which would be very useful for the roofing or the flooring industry. We have another one for timber, from very low moisture contents to very high moisture contents. And there's another application for checking osmosis in fiberglass hulls for boats, which is another major problem.
Right. Well, the very best of luck with all those ideas. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.